We'll call the regular meeting to our planning board supervisors to order. Come to order. Let's come to order. Hey! My mic works now. Can you hear me?
No, not really.
Gotta raise it up. The volume, not the mic.
Okay, can you hear me now?
No,
Not
It's okay.
really.
you're gonna have to talk.
I can yell.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so we'll start out this evening with roll call. Ms. Wakely has been excused. She's gonna try and get here, but she had another commitment and she's gonna try and get here if she can. Okay, and shows that everybody else is present here. If you'd stand now for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you were all sent an agenda. I would look for an approval. The one thing I would like to change, if I could, I would like to move item C3 up to the spot between item 5 and 6. So with that, I would look for a motion for the agenda with that change.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Urban, is there a second? Second by Mosling. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and that passes. You were also sent the minutes from the August 19th, 2025 regular meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, I would look for a motion to approve. Motion by Wadle, second by Johnson. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes as well. So at this time, then we'll move to item C, Roman numeral 3, resolution number 23-09-25. Resolution acknowledging Laura Araza's retirement from and service to Waushara County. And if I could, I would like to just read this resolution. Whereas Laura Araza was hired by Waushara County on June 10th, 1992 in the Department of Human Services as a home care aide providing certified nursing assistant care in private homes to adults living with physical and/or cognitive support needs. And whereas the state of Wisconsin made changes in the long-term care model, Laura's position transitioned to long-term care specialist. Whereas Laura served the majority of her years at Waushara County, providing in-home support, representative payee services, providing coaching and modeling to clients on home maintenance and self-care, overseeing Alzheimer's care support funding and programming, and performing court-required protective placement reviews. And whereas Laura has served the clients and community of Waushara County with steadfast dedication, treating all of those whom she serves with dignity and respect. And whereas Laura has worked collaboratively with colleagues in the department across government and community partners to create valuable relationships with the community. And whereas Laura has worked hard to hold the values of respect, integrity, collaboration, service, and stewardship, earning respect from coworkers and clients alike. And now therefore, the Waushara County Board of Supervisors does thank her for her dedicated service, commitment, and sacrifice to the community, and wishes Laura good health and happiness as she enjoys her retirement. Is there a motion? Motion by Urban, second by Kirschner. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, very good. It passes. Thank you, Laura. Okay, with that, then we'll go on to public comment. And we do have 5 this evening. I just want to read something prior to this. Please keep in mind that the county board will not be able to respond to your comments or ask you any questions. Your comments are informational only. If further action is required, your comments or concerns will be directed to the appropriate department or committee for response. Okay, so with that, our first one this evening is Sam Wood.
You can probably imagine the emotions and everything that's gone through the last couple of days for me, but here's what I got. It's been a long 10 years for me and a long 1.5 years for us. I guess all that's happened up until now has been preparation for right now. We all know why I'm here today, but I want you to know I'm not here to attack anyone. Gone through many thoughts of what I was going to say here tonight, and this is what I got. Folks are here for accountability. This is how I started on my journey. That puts me here today. Folks want to know who's to blame. I tell them, you want to get accountability here tonight, but that's not what's going to happen. But this is where we start. And none of you guys are to blame. Ruth, you have been here longer than most, and I know you have heard a lot. I have personally brought issues to you, and I thought it was a dead end. But I totally understand now. Your job is to protect the county. Hats off to you. You've done an amazing job. Your job is not to find corruption. It's to keep from it costing the county. I have a feeling you're going to be very busy. Now, for you all that are here, sit on the board, I hope you're as upset as I am. But I don't need any of you to clean this up. We have that process started, and we have all the right people in all the right places doing all the right things. This is out of your hands. What I do need from you all is a commitment to make sure this never happens again. You need to take the toxicity out of working for this county. I'm not just talking about sexual misconduct. I'm talking about making this a good place to work. Set up a third party and help with accountability. Give the employees a place to go where they don't fear losing their jobs and they know the issues will be addressed. I need all of you to use line item 9 of the agenda right now, so we have the commitment that this won't just be swept under the rug by the good old boys and girls. I am here if you want to talk. I won't give up names or the status of anything, but here are some of the things you should look at. Look into the condition of the sheriff's dog. Look into the lie about him taking the dog to work every day. That's an easy one to prove. Look into Coloma if you want to know what to look at. Ruth has most of the information. It won't take long to start questioning the integrity of the leadership of the sheriff's department. If you feel you need more information about Coloma, reach out to me. I'll get you to the right people. We have the sexual misconduct covered. You fix the toxic work environment. Thanks.
Okay, our next public comment is from Barry Osika.
Good evening, Chairman Jarvis and County Board Supervisor. My name is Barry Osika, and I'm the adjutant of the Daniel Dopp American Legion Post 370 in Wild Rose. May I ask, first of all, have any of you served in the armed forces who are on the county board? None of you? Thank you. Our post recently sent a letter to all of you raising concerns over veterans not receiving health care and other benefits because of a backlog in processing the paperwork and application process in our County Veterans Service Office. Wisconsin Statute 45.82 mandates that County Veterans Service offices provide assistance and guidance to veterans and their dependents regarding benefits they may be entitled to due to their military service. Our post is requesting that this item be placed on the county board agenda in October, that the county veteran service officer, our county board, and county administrator look at ways to reduce this backlog and comply with laws that mandate that healthcare and other benefits are provided to our veterans who have earned those benefits. American Legion's motto is still serving America, and we will not fail in making sure our brothers and sisters are respected, honored, and receive the benefits entitled to them. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter, and we trust that you will find solutions for our county veterans. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Ricky Brown Jr.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Ricky Brown from Red Granite. I currently live in Hancock. I'm here just to address the issue with sheriff and stipends that he received after he should have received them. In my opinion, in reading the state statutes, he has violated state statute 19.59, section 1, subsection A, which states no public official may use his or her public position or office to obtain financial gain or anything of substantial value for the private benefit of himself or herself, his or her immediate family, or any organization with which he is associated, which he did by taking the stipend payment after his dog was dead, knowingly aware that he shouldn't have received it. I'd also like to address the issue that I feel like he violated state statute 943.20, section 2, subsection B, which is a statute that pertains to theft or embezzlement by public officials, I'm sorry. Which states, or which talks about the intentional use or transfer or concealment of possessions, money, securities, or other property without the owner's consent. We, the owner of the tax dollars that were given to him on that stipend, did not consent for him to continue to receive those tax dollars after his dog died. And he fully, knowingly accepted it, put it into his own personal account, didn't correct the error, and it was only when it was found out that he was able to pay back something and say, look how good I was. Where if any of us in this room, it doesn't matter who you are, were to do that, you would be found guilty of theft, convicted of a felony, and it would change your life. The end of the Pledge of Allegiance says justice for all. It's not justice to allow a man who wears a badge to get away with breaking or bending a law or doing anything that's unethical, simply because he's got the highest office of authority in our county. I think it's unfair to the people, and it's disgraceful. It's outrageous. And I think I'm asking that the board does whatever they need to do. I don't really know the lingo that you guys have. To investigate the matter thoroughly, call an outside agency, someone who's not tied to this county and not directly related to the sheriff in one way or another, in order to address it, because it cannot continue. It starts with $1,200 or $20,000 or whatever it is, and the next thing you know, he's got police officers out here blatantly kidnapping people because they disagree with him. It happened in Georgia after World War II. I can't remember the exact name of it, but there was a bunch of veterans that came back from the war and decided the only way they could fix the corruption in their town was to fight for it. Hopefully it doesn't have to come to that in Sheriff County, but something does need to change. Thank you.
Okay, next is David Karbowski. Is that true?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Very good on the name, by the way. SKI usually throws people off. I'm here also, like Barry Osika, to talk about the lack of help that the veterans are getting at this time. We have two representatives here in Waushara in the building here, and they're doing a fantastic job. However, things have gotten a little out of hand. I, for instance, if I could put this in perspective, became a member of our Legion about 2 years ago. Our Legion had maybe 10 people in it, 6 to 10 people attending. Now, 2 years and a little bit later, we have about 26 people coming to our meetings, which is fantastic. But what this tells me is the demographics here are changing in the county. There are more people maybe coming in as veterans, or they've reached that age where they have become veterans. I feel that Bill, for instance, has helped me out. And at that time, it really, and he says, okay, I can help you out, but it's gonna take a little while, maybe 2 weeks to a month. That was maybe 7 years ago. Times have changed. More people are coming in, more veterans are understanding that they have benefits available to them. And like I say, the representation that we have is fantastic now, but if we could get your attention, and if you haven't already read Barry's report, I would really be thankful if you did that. This is for the veterans. I know your job is tough. I appreciate what you do for everybody. I know budgets are tough, but this is for veterans. And it's just a time that I think we really need to dig in, tip our hat, and give back to those that have served our country so willingly and lovingly. So again, I want to thank you for your time. This has been a great experience. Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, we have Tara Anderson.
Hi, two things I want to voice my support on. One is the County Veterans Office. If we could show and give them more support, just with all the backlog that they have with all the veterans in our county, I would like you guys to take a look at that. And as someone who had a family member that worked for the county, he just recently left the county. I know the turbulence in all the departments, so I really want you guys to maybe hopefully take a deep dive into all departments and HR and morale of everyone, every single employee that's working for you guys at the county. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public comments. We have no unfinished business tonight. New business, we'll move into reports and presentation. Our first one is a bug tussle general update with Scott Felt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, county board members. I'm Scott Felt. I'm the Director of Public Affairs and Government Affairs for Bug Tussle. In a previous life, I was the county administrator for Kewaunee County. So I can feel for the work that you have to do and the trials and tribulations that come from it. I had a packet of information put in front of you so that way we could possibly go over it as to kind of where we are. As you'll see, there's a project map. That's the 11x17. That's the second page that actually folds out. You'll see the map there, and it identifies all of the fiber segments as well as the towers. All of those lines that are green are fiber segments that are live and able to provide service. Blue are the design segments that are being funded by the 2024 bonds. That is currently in design. We have roughly about 168.5 miles of live fiber in the county, as well as about 19 towers. And total, that probably serves a little under 18,000 possible homes. The second page after that just kind of gives some definitions as to, you're looking at the map key, what do some of those things mean, as well as here are the different stages of fiber construction. If you go to the next page, which is the Washera OLT, which means the fiber progress summary, it talks about the various site names. You'll see down at the bottom you have Washera Addition, both central, north, and south. Those are those additional projects that are to be funded through bond funds. Again, those are the blue areas on your map. The next page is the towers. As you see, there are 19 of them. We have 3 other towers that are within the county that provide service that is not related to broadband. And we have 3 other towers that have stalled because we're looking at whether they should be built, especially since we're trying to put fiber into the county. And I'm sorry, I should have said, anytime you have a question, you can ask me right away. That's fine. You don't have to wait until the end. The next section is what I call points of interest. And that is the various areas that the connections are of points of interest within the county, whether that is EMS stations, highway shops, or the like. Those that are in green have been completed. Those that are in orange are still in progress. The next page is the 2024 bond series. Again, you had issued, or you had allowed us to use your credit worthiness to issue $11 million in bond proceeds. Of that, you have issuance costs, capitalized interest at reserve. So from the 11 million, about 8 million comes out to be your project budget, of which 2.6 million has been expended as of today. And if you're asking what that is, that's materials, that's design, that's permitting. You do receive, before we take any draw, those draw requests are sent to the county for approval before any funds can be dispersed. Just as a side note for the next page, you'll see that what we had there is what's called guarantee payments. Those are the payments that we have agreed to share with Waushara County. Because of our partnership, there are 40 basis points on the outstanding debt. And so currently that's roughly about, I want to say about $63,000, something to that case. But when it's all said and done, Waushara County will receive over $937 in payments. That is not, that is just money free and clear for Waushara County. Last but not least is just kind of our communications. This is the most recent, which is the Q2 community report that you receive. The first page is both the towers and the fiber. The second page is just the fiber, and the third page is just the towers. In the next few weeks, we will be putting together our Q3 community report and sending that to the county. Plus, just for future reference, I've had some very good conversations with Barry, and what will be happening is, even if you've not seen my lovely face, I will be putting together a report for you to see on a monthly basis. So that way, if there's questions or concerns, then you can either communicate them directly to me, or you can go through Barry and I can try to answer them as best as possible. Are there, oh, I'm sorry, one other item which isn't part of the monthly report. BEAD. So from a Waushara standpoint, Tussel has received approximately $2.2 million in BEAD funds to do projects within Waushara County. We also are required to provide a $1.8 million match. So we will be putting in, so there will be $4 million being invested in last mile within Waushara County. We look forward to doing that. Hopefully we can start that right away in spring of 26. There is a variety of permitting, both from the NEPA, which is the National Environmental Protection Act, as well as the National Historic Preservation Act. And so those permits and permitting has to be done prior to any type of construction being done. But we look forward in doing that, getting that done, so that way, as soon as the ground thaws, we can go to work. Are there questions from anyone?
You said, Scott, you said that Washington County would be in line to get $937, but it's $937,000.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that's clear. Yeah, there you go. Very good. I know there's a lot of people anxious to get fiber optic to their homes. I mean,
Right,
that's
and I have to apologize in that respect, because I know Barry has done an excellent job of communicating the frustration.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, and I ask for patience. There's a couple different things that are in there, and one has to do with just bonds came out in 24, we want to do the design, but the other part, which was really kind of a game changer, that we were kind of stepping back for just a moment, had to do with BEAD. Because when we talk about the bonds, we are doing, as you can see in the map, we're doing a number of locations or homes that we would like to serve. Now, the question or the concern would be for us is, if we were to start to do that, and then you have a competitor that is going to receive subsidies to build in that same area, is that really the best use of your dollars? And so we wanted to make sure, how does that all shake out? And then come back and talk with Barry and with the county as to how do we move forward.
okay. Very good. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Scott? Okay, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I do have one.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Sure.
Scott, obviously you're behind as far as the overall project. When do you see catching up? If at all, I mean, in the near future? 'Cause I get a lot of calls about it.
Yeah, and I understand that, Supervisor, very much, because again, when I was in Kewaunee County, as soon as people see that orange tubing sticking out of the ground,
Yep.
they think that it's gonna come tomorrow. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Plus, again, I want to give a full accounting in the respect that originally, not counting the 2024, the original projects were for middle mile and not for last mile. Now, 2024 is to do that last mile and what we call densification. And so we look forward, and like I said, hitting the ground running spring of 26. And if it's done right, why can't we get it done in a year?
Thank you. Good.
Yep.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I have a question. You had mentioned you were holding up on the Tustin area. Can you just go over that one more time? Why?
Again, when we're talking about specific areas of the county, I have to look at where we're at. Are you talking an OLT or you're talking a tower?
So you were on the page talking about holding up on the tower for Tustin.
Correct, that was stalled only in the respect that we were looking at to see how does that fit in from the fiber standpoint, and whether because what we're seeing more and more as we go into the counties is that we build a tower, and as soon as fiber comes in, people run from the tower because they want fiber. Though we know that for a lot of folks, the service that you would get from a tower is more than usually serves their needs, but there is that preference towards the fiber.
Okay.
So that's what we look at.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else?
Any question?
Sure.
You know who other companies got the BEAD money?
I'm sorry,
You know what other companies got the BEAD money?
I do, but I forget who it is. I can get that back to you, Supervisor, if you'd like. I can send that to Barry and he can get that back to you.
Or is there a place we can go find that?
Yeah, in the PSC, the PSC has a document that shows all of the applicants that applied for BEAD money and who received awards, and they even delineate it and break it out by county and the dollar amount. So,
I can send you that week, Mark. Sure.
yeah, there's a great spreadsheet that shows all of it, of which I'm going to assume Starlink is part of it, because Starlink has of the 72 counties, I think they received an award in 65 or 66 of the counties themselves. But there's probably a few others that you may have some telephone carriers, whether that's Frontier or Brightspeed or someone like that, that may be providing service and may receive some awards as well.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? No, thank you, Scott.
Thank you all for your time.
Right, next we'll go into our county administrator's monthly report with our county administrator, Megan Cat.
Thank you. So next week, we have our next Economic Development Corporation meeting. It is going to be our first meeting working with UW Extension, who is going to be guiding us through that community economic development assessment that I've mentioned. I am also working with one of our local realtors to utilize Wisconsin EDC's platform. It's called Locate in Wisconsin. It's free to us because we are members of Wisconsin EDC, and it allows us to list commercial properties so that potential businesses have the availability to search for all areas in Wisconsin or within our county all on one platform. So we're gonna try and get that up and going to get some vacant commercial properties listed there. On the financial and budget end of things, obviously we are very far into 2026 budget preparations at this point. Beginning of September, our levy limit worksheets came out. So just to give you an idea where we're at, 2026, we had about 2025, $56 million budget. The levy limit for 2026 allows us to increase our levy $184,000. Because of the state levy limits that are in place. Just a reminder, there are a few things that are outside of that levy limit. So EMS, libraries, and debt services are all outside of that levy limit, but just to kind of give you an idea of what we're working with. I did mention last month that original request came in significantly over that, so we are trying to reduce that. We've currently got that down to about $2.5 million over our limit that we are working with right now. Sarah Lucchini, our finance director, and myself have been meeting with all of the departments to find some reductions. We've got about halfway through our budget meetings so that we'll wrap those up this week. And after that point, I'll be able to get my budget proposal together, which will be presented to the executive committee and county board in October. And then just a reminder, the final budget would be passed in November following the public hearing at that November county board meeting, which is held earlier than usual. And on that front as well, we did hold another budget work group with our departments. The majority of our departments were represented. We had department heads along with financial staff that got together. We did a good brainstorming session and just had some good conversation about ideas and places that we can find some efficiencies. Some of them will come to fruition for the 2026 budget and help us find some cost savings for our budget. Some of them we will continue to explore for future efficiencies and savings, and they might not happen right away, but they are conversations that we're going to continue to have because we know each year with the way levy limits are that we continue to hit this wall. On a positive note, we're happy to report that we are looking at a 0% increase for our health insurance for 2026, which is huge. This is our third year in a row with a flat increase and really unheard of in the industry. So we're very, very fortunate there and thankful for really just our employees being good consumers and educating on different options and things. So we have our health insurance renewal meeting tomorrow. After that point, we will solidify open enrollment in October and get that communication out to employees as well. I don't recall if I reported this last month, but our HR specialist, Kelsey, has resigned and moved to Florida. She got out of here before the weather got too cold. I know I'm disappointed as well. We're super sad to see her go. At this point, we are not filling her position until we are able to obviously look at further budget reductions and stuff. So our intent is to leave that position vacant at the moment. So we have divvied up some duties within our administration team to make sure that those things are being covered. We finished sheriff's negotiations last month, and we do have an agenda item this evening to approve the tentative agreements for a 3-year contract with the sheriff's union. At the end of August, many people participated in a large-scale intruder evacuation and reunification drill. It was held at the Wild Rose middle and high school, as well as our highway department. I think I heard there were a total of 345 participants between people that were planning and participating in the event. Chair Jarvis and I had the opportunity to observe the event. They had an observation room set up for a bunch of folks. So it was a really great collaboration between a lot of county departments, a lot of outside or other organizations, as well as surrounding county partners that were involved as well. So just a really huge collaborative effort that was very successful in being prepared for a mass casualty type incident that we hope never happens, obviously, but being prepared and working together with all of our partner agencies was a great opportunity. Next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, myself, I know Clerk Consolado and several board members will be attending the Wisconsin Counties Association Annual Conference. And then the other event coming up next week is the Conservation Field Days is going to be held this year. It's next week, Thursday and Friday from 9 to 2:30. And this year it's going to be held at one of our county parks at Tussel Lake Park in the town of Springwater. So it's area 5th graders from our local schools that come out. Our land conservation department staff coordinates this event each year. They have different stations set up with educational opportunities for the students around different conservation topics. And board members are also invited to step out and just take a look and walk around the stations and see what they have going on out there. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Megan. Anybody have any questions for Megan? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. All right, next we'll have the Department of Human Services Annual Report with our Director of Human Services, Clara Voigtlander.
Good evening. So thank you for allowing me to share tonight. I know it's a packed agenda, so I will do my best to be succinct. I'll let Barry get my slideshow up. So thank you for the introduction, Mr. Jarvis. I'm Clara Voigtlander. I'm the Director of Human Services. I've been in this position now going into my 4th year, and excited to share with you some of the things that we are working on and some of the things that we've achieved in the past year as part of our annual report. So first, I want to, if we could go to the next slide. You got it for me? Thank you. I'm going to try to keep my part brief because the heart of our presentation tonight is I do have a consumer of our services here who is going to share his experience with our department, and that's, I think, the most important part of my talk tonight. So I'm going to go through and just share a little bit about our staffing units, of course, talk about budget status, share some service stories that my staff have asked that I share with the board, and then I will be bringing up Cody to share his information. Here's our org chart. Human Services employs 60.5 staff. Very pleased to share that we've been fully staffed now for going on about 6 months. That's the first time in the 4 years that I've been in this position that we've been fully staffed. Certainly feel very proud of that and hope to maintain that. Of our 60 staff, it's broken up into 9 units. We have one of the biggest departments in the county and take up the whole 2nd floor over there on the east side. First, I want to talk about budget. As you can see, our expenses have stayed about the same throughout the years. Feeling good about this because it's a good indicator that we're doing what we need to do. We're making good decisions. What you'll see though, as I talk about the budget, is even as we make moves, as we move placements and make adjustments in where our costs are going, what we're finding is costs are rising at the same time. So I'm going to give an example. Our department is responsible for any mental health placements in Winnebago Mental Health Institute. While we've seen a reduction in the number of clientele that we've treated at Winnebago Mental Health, we really haven't seen a huge swing in what the final outcome of the cost is, because in the past 3 years, it's gone up by 10% every single year. The cost is exorbitant. Right now, the daily rate is $1,700 a day, and we anticipate that going up. So I note that for the board because, you know, again, we're making concerted efforts to monitor our placements, to make adjustments where we can, and sometimes it's just a matter of trying to do that dance of keeping up with the costs with them. What you'll see that is we've had a small trending upward of revenue And that comes really as a credit to our staff. We've taken a hard look at what can we control. We have a unique budget in that we can do our best to plan and we don't always have control. We're dealing with human lives, so we're dealing with placing children in foster care, we're dealing with placing individuals in much needed inpatient mental health care, that we can't always be completely planful about our budget because it's dependent upon what cases we get that year or what happens. But certainly doing everything we can to monitor and control what we can control. And I think our revenue demonstrates that we've been increasing our revenue through our billable services over the past 3 years. And then I wanted to share some client outcomes. I asked all of my managers to meet with their teams and bring back some important highlights that they would want the board and the community to hear. So first of all, I want to focus on actual clients and how their lives have been touched or impacted by the services that Human Services provides. Our out-of-home care numbers, which counts for children who are placed in foster care or residential care, has gone from 34 children placed in out-of-home care down to 13. So that is a significant improvement that demonstrates that there's a strong partnership with families, that we're able to come to permanency solutions for children wherein they're either able to be returned to their biological family or replaced with another fit and willing relative or another caring adult or family who takes on adoption of a child. It's also noteworthy that we've had 3 residential level youth that we've been able to successfully maintain in the community. This is something I've talked to our Human Services Board about, that we've had to get really creative of how we're going to meet client needs. And again, looking at those rising costs, we know that least restrictive is best for youth. We don't want youth to be institutionalized. We want youth to be in their schools with their friends, in their community. And so very proud that we've been able to remove 3 children who were at a residential level of care back into the community. It's a win not only for our county financially, but the priority is again that we're serving these children in the least restrictive way and able to have them have some mainstream schooling and normalcy. This year, we expanded our alcohol and other drug abuse contracting, as well as the residential services that we've been able to provide to clients through our alcohol and substance abuse system. We've been grateful to use opioid settlement funds as well as grant funding that our alcohol and drug abuse supervisor has secured over the course of the past 3 years that has allowed for us to send clients to treatment, and Pat, our supervisor for that program, monitors those trends. We've had a 75% successful completion rate. So the grant funding and the opioid settlement funding that we've put towards supporting adults in that way for alcohol and drug abuse treatment is having a positive benefit. We continue to see a significant increase in our children's programs. Children's long-term support and birth to 3 are programs that serve children who have emotional, behavioral, developmental delays or disabilities. And we're finding a very large influx in the increase of those numbers, so much so that last year, if the board will recall, we did increase that the number of staff serving that team. That's a fully billable program, so we're able to recoup insurance dollars for the services we provide, but it's also helping maintain children in their school and in the community. Our community support program provides ongoing community programming for individuals, adults living with a chronic mental illness. The goal of this program is to keep people out of inpatient hospitals, and proud to say that 100% of the adults that we've served through that program, we've been able to maintain in the community. We did have 2 in the past year who required a brief inpatient hospitalization, but because of our staff's hard work and intensive service support, and we were able to return them to the community where they have continued to maintain. We also have a treatment and alternatives diversion program, a treatment court. The past year saw 7 treatment court graduates. There's some recent research that came out that talks about how 3 years post-graduation, there's a 18% recidivism rate. So I note that because that's one of those programs that has a trickle down. The success of that program and the successful graduations of the clients involved in that program help our law enforcement system, our EMS, our inpatient hospitals, residential rates, all of that. And that recidivism rate certainly speaks to the success of that evidence-based program. As far as overall program outcomes, I'm very proud to say that Human Services spearheaded initiating a multidisciplinary team meeting. That's not necessarily something that's an uncommon practice in counties. In fact, it's pretty common. Most counties have one. It's a pulling together of Corporation Counsel's Office, law enforcement, EMS, social work staff who are all invested in the prevention and care of child abuse and neglect. When Human Services started that and we pulled in the different departments, we had 3 people, and we've grown to between 15 and 20 now that sit on that team. Additionally, we do spearhead a critical incident stress management team. This is a group that combines with EMS and law enforcement to provide crisis debriefing for traumatic incidents that our first responders may engage when they're in the field. This is really a support to the county as a whole because the intention is to help keep our staff healthy and well. It's not a replacement for an EAP program, it's not a replacement for psychotherapy, but it's an option to reach out, provide some debriefing services, and then refer to additional services as needed. In the past year, we performed over 12 debriefs with local law enforcement, and we're asked to respond to 2 other counties with our team, which is that's very nice for that to happen. Our CCS, it's our comprehensive community services group. Our supervisor of that program and one of his staff were asked to speak at a state conference to 250 people. I was told by our regional director for that programming that the response to Washera County's outreach group programming, the work we're doing in human services, was overwhelming. That Washera County really is a model system of how those programs should work. There so much so that the regional director of that program put together a video of a testimonial that she would like us to share with our human services board about the excellent work that our staff did at that state conference and the excellent work we're doing here in Washera County. COVID saw us through some rough times with mental health. Having mental health clinicians was a difficulty everywhere. Very proud to say that we now are fully staffed with 4 independently licensed clinicians and 2 who are in training. We're pretty fortunate that remains an issue in all the county systems. Economic support returned to regular review processes. That means coming out of the COVID, they had what's called an unwinding. Our staff had to work really hard to help get back into that routine of regular reviews and eligibility, and they did that wonderfully with the support of ARPA funds that covered overtime costs to meet the needs of those extra hours. When I asked our staff what do they see as the overarching thing that they wanted shared, it really was the internal collaboration and communication. We are a system that our success doesn't lie on one person. It lies on the collaboration, the creative thinking, the ability to build rapport with people in our community and make impactful changes. And then I'm just going to end for the program outcomes and saying, hey, we had our audit and we had not one single citation or deficiency. The state auditor's comment to us was, it's clear you're operating a good clinic here. So I'm very pleased with that. The state of Wisconsin's Department of Quality Assurance gave us that feedback. And then in closing, and then I'll turn it over to Cody, I just want to share again our accomplishments. Being fully staffed is huge. It allows us to provide the services that we are obligated to serve and that we're here to serve. And I think it speaks volumes about what we're doing at Human Services, that our staff want to be there and are happy to be a part of this department. Budget, that's always going to be on our mind, right? And as I said, we aren't a department that could ever have an exact budget, but we certainly need to and do try to do our best to be good stewards of county money. I want to just put into perspective that in 2024 we had $11 million overall budget, and we came in 231,000 over. I know the board never wants to hear that we go over, but again, please keep in mind we are a department that can't always perfectly control it, and when you put that against an $11 million budget, it's pretty darn good how we're managing our finances. Again, the creative and collaborative client care, very proud of that reduction in residential placements, how we've been able to serve people and treat people in the least restrictive manner, and the impact, where I shared about some of the impacts for clients. And when we hear Cody's story, it's really not about us. The ultimate story here is about the successes for the people that we serve. For continued growth, like I said, mind is always on the budget. We need to continue to demonstrate to this community and to this board that we are good stewards of the finances afforded to us, and being mindful at all times that we do have a budget that can ebb and flow, and really demonstrate that we're doing everything we can to make small decisions with that. Strategic planning is going to be a continued area of growth for our department. If we fail to look at where we need to improve or grow, we will never grow. So very grateful for the strategic planning. It's given us a definitive plan. It's given us a structured plan, something that we haven't had before. And so I'm really pleased with how our process is, how we're going with that process. Third, I think just looking at luck versus sustainable practice. So the things that have worked for us, the ways that we have been able to monitor funds efficiently, the positive client outcomes, is that just kind of, we just had a lucky year, or are there things that we're doing that are specifically contributing to the outcomes? What are those? What are the patterns, the trends, the things that are working? What are the things that aren't working or that are having a negative impact? And we really want to do a better job of tracking some of that information, learning from it, applying it to current strategic planning and future strategic planning, as we know that will be fluid. Keeping pace with demands. That's going to be huge, especially with some of the changes in federal funds. Human Services is going to take a direct hit on some of that. And so we need to really do all we can to capture grant funding, establish, strong community partnerships that can see us through those times and make sure we keep pace with that. And employee morale, as always, I'd be a fool if I stood up here and told you that everybody, all the 60.5 staff in Human Services are happy and things are wonderful. We are only as good as our staff are. And at the end of the day, we have to do our best to be good, because as good as we are, that's what we can give back to the clients that we serve. So I'm no fool. I know that things might not be perfect, but certainly invested in trying to be mindful. There's different initiatives we do throughout the year. We do rounding with all of our staff. We set priorities and initiatives. We hold all staffs to be mindful of that and try to make our department a place that people want to be and where they feel like it's a decent place to work. So I thank you very much for your time. I'm going to pass over the mic. Thank you, Sam, for bringing the crowd. It takes a lot of courage to speak in front of a crowd like this, and then especially about personal information. And so I'm going to invite Cody Recor up to share some of his story and just thank him for his willingness to do that.
It's an interesting day. Again, as she said, my name is Cody Recor, a longtime resident of this county. Actually grew up in Saxville. I'm going to go through the TAD program. I luckily got into that. My first dealings with Dutcher ultimately was when I was 5 through family members. Long-time drug addict. Luckily, I got in the TAD program. I've been sober for 581 days. Through my addiction, I ended up losing 2 of my kids. Megan actually was a foster parent for one of my kids, which I'm eternally grateful for. Right now, I am actually going through reunification to get my son back. That is almost done. Katie Doan is actually a CPS worker. She's a godsend. So my story isn't all rainbows and sunshine, as we all know. I absolutely disliked Health and Human Services. I was kind of raised to be like that. My family has an interesting background with the county. But throughout this whole process, I actually met Terry Billington. He's the CCS supervisor. When I originally met him, he was a CCS worker. If I had known about the program when I was younger, that'd been awesome. Throughout dealing with him, I ended up going into more of the county programs. My son is actually in CLTS. That is a great program for kids with needs, especially mental health problems. But throughout all that, when I got in trouble my last time, which got me into the TAD program, I didn't expect anyone from the county and Health and Human Services to actually show up at the jail. Terry Billington showed up and Katie Doan actually showed up to show me that the county was still there and understanding. Which for me, I thought my kid was going to be gone completely. I thought everything was done. That was what I was thinking when I was sitting in Washington County Jail. I spent a lot of time there. But getting into the TAD program, I don't know what I'd do without it. I'd either be dead or I'd be in jail or prison. Definitely wouldn't be standing here talking to you guys today. Called me kind of a unicorn, which is kind of funny because I didn't have it as a plea bargain. I actually asked for it because I tried getting sober before, and when I relapsed, I knew I was completely done. I couldn't fight no more. I couldn't do it myself. Luckily, I was accepted. Dutcher was trying to actually get me into the TAD program on my first methamphetamine case. After I refused that, I got 2 more, and that's what got me here in the TAD program. I have a projected graduation date of October 29th. So I've been struggling to keep going. There's a lot of things that have bumped in my life. I actually got injured, and for 6 months I couldn't work. It is horrible. And throughout all that, with the help of Health and Human Services, it kept me afloat mentally and emotionally. They helped me in a lot of ways. If I ever had a problem, I'd come in and talk to them. My AODA counselor is actually Pat. I've seemed to deal with all the supervisors between me and my kids, which is nice because it gets straight to the point. If there's ever a problem, we can immediately address it. I'm sweating like a stuffed pig right now. But throughout all the help of Health and Human Services, I feel that a lot more things could be portrayed to the county to help a lot more people, and that comes with a budget. I'm just amazed to be here. Kind of lost at this point. However, if you guys got any questions, you can leave the way.
Anybody have any questions for Cody? Congratulations too, by the way. That's very good, and good luck on the 29th. Hopefully it's be exciting for you to graduate from that program as well. So yeah, very nice story. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you, Tori. And that wraps up my presentation. Are there any questions for me?
Very good report.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Very vulnerable segment of our community, and we appreciate what you do. So thank you very much. All right, next we'll have their district attorney office annual report with our district attorney, Matthew Lusing.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Lusink. I'm the district attorney. I've been the district attorney since I was elected in 2020. I'm now in my 2nd term. So to kind of give you an overview of our office staff, you have myself as the DA. Right now, I have 1 assistant district attorney. That's Josh Zamzo. He's been with our office since January of 2023. We have 1 position that is currently vacant that we are still accepting applicants for. And then our office has 2 paralegals, Jennifer Kern and Sarah Witz. The tasks that they handle include the filing of the complaints after we're done preparing them. They handle other filings that we have to make as well. They handle providing discovery to defense attorneys, which is a time-consuming task, preparing writs, which are used to bring in inmates from other counties for court appearances. They also help with sending subpoenas to witnesses, and they help with overseeing our post-plea diversion program, which I'll talk about a little bit tonight too. We have Donna Claviter, our victim witness coordinator, who handles all things dealing with victims and witnesses, with sending out notifications to victims, to arranging preparations with witnesses and victims for trials and upcoming hearings. And then we have John Weismuller, who is our investigator. He basically once a case is charged out, he deals a lot with any sort of additional follow-up that we need to do. He will often track down witnesses who we don't have addresses for and we're trying to locate where they're at. He will also assist me when I'm engaging in trial preparation. So I have a witness that's sitting in on meetings with me, and all sorts of other tasks, including obtaining discovery from other departments as well. The ADA position, I will tell you that the shortage of prosecutors is still an issue in the state of Wisconsin. It is especially an issue if you are not in either the Madison area or Milwaukee and the suburbs. A few reasons for this. When I became an attorney, there's actually a big glut of attorneys in the state. And the reason is because you had the financial crisis about 5 years earlier. A lot of attorneys who either were about to retire or who had retired decided that they couldn't do that and had to still be practicing. The other issue is that anytime you applied for a vacancy at a DA's office, you were competing with about 40 different people. What's happened since then is that the amount of students going to law school has gone down over the last 10 years. Also, some of those attorneys that had to keep practicing are now retired. Also, about 6 years ago, the state actually expanded the amount of assistant district attorneys that are employed by the state. And what wound up happening is that you had a big carousel of people going to the counties that they liked and people moving from county to county. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of the smaller counties, which would have gotten their positions filled just because there were so many people looking for assistant district attorney positions, now are facing an issue where they're competing with Dane County, Milwaukee County, the Milwaukee suburbs, who tend to get first pickings of the people. They're also competing with private practice firms. And the legislature has tried to address that by raising the rate of pay. The rate of pay for ADAs is about $13 an hour higher than it was when I became an assistant DA. But even that is, it's still, when you compare it to what they can make in private practice, may not be as high as they could. So some of our office responsibilities, we obviously prosecute criminal offenses that occur within Waushara County. That can include crimes referred by police departments. We also get crimes that are referred by state agencies. Some of that would include the Department of, I believe it's Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, stuff by the DNR, obviously, by the State Patrol. We handle also any appeals for criminal cases that are either misdemeanors or traffics. Our office actually handles. We do the briefing for them. And the reason I included that is that this year we've actually had to handle 3 appeals to the Court of Appeals, which involves us preparing a legal brief and filing it with the Court of Appeals, which is actually more than the previous 4 years that I had been here combined. I think I only did about 2 appeals prior to this year, and this year we've done 3. We also handle, on occasion, special prosecutions. Typically, the counties that I would handle a special prosecution most often would be Winnebago, Green Lake, or Portage County, since they're fairly close to us, and especially Winnebago, they'll often handle some of ours if we have a conflict issue. Also, any traffic and county ordinance violations that are issued, we handle those. That's mainly the sheriff's department. However, when you get to OWIs, some of the municipalities have us do that as well. The Village of Wild Rose has us handle OWI offenses that are first offense, and then the city of Watoma does as well. So then we also are involved with legal updates to law enforcement. We also participate in the treatment court program. I'm also a part of the multidisciplinary team that Clara was talking about in her presentation. One of the things that is done in Waushara County is that DHS conducts forensic interviews of child witnesses, and those are often used if we commence a prosecution for physical abuse of a child or sexual assault of a child. So we are a part of that feedback process. I have been to at least one forensic interview myself, and I've observed it while it was being done, and we provide potential questions to ask, things like that. So some of the trends we had less total cases charged in 2024 than in 2023, and there's a couple of reasons why I think that I don't think it's a long-lasting trend. I think it's going to go back up. We are, like I said, on this year, we're on pace to have a little bit higher number of cases. We actually had a larger number of jury trials in 2024 compared to the year before, less so far in 2025, but there's a good chance we'll hit double digits for jury trials this year too. Continuously, the major drug issue is methamphetamine. That's what we're seeing most of all. And then the public defender shortage is still an issue. It's not as big an issue in Waushara County as it is elsewhere. It's a really bad issue when you get to the northwestern part of the state. I don't think we have the time periods where we're waiting for public defenders to be appointed to attorneys as in other places. It's an issue that's going to be ongoing. The Court of Appeals is apparently looking at certain cases where they are alleging that it actually implicates a person's constitutional rights to counsel and potentially a constitutional right to have a speedy trial. So we're going to see how that affects us moving on. Like I said, it's not as big an issue here. I think, especially because I think the players in the court system work hard to try and keep on top of it and make sure that for the cases that the state public defender's office can't represent, that we try and find representation. We've actually had a couple of cases where they're more significant felonies and it's been waiting for a while, and we obviously want it to move along because there's victims involved with it. So we have sometimes reached out ourselves to attorneys and asked them, would they consider taking this case? So the total criminal cases filed, as I said, there is a drop off between 2023 and 2024. We filed 605 total cases then and 495 in 2024. What I mean by total criminal cases filed is you add up criminal felonies and then criminal misdemeanors and then criminal traffic. And that doesn't include other types of cases that we handle. It doesn't include the traffic cases, any of the OWI firsts that we handle. It doesn't include juvenile cases, and it also doesn't include some of the other miscellaneous type cases that we'll handle, such as asset forfeitures, complex forfeitures, things like that. So a couple of reasons why I think there was a little bit of a drop off last year. It probably had something to do with the larger number of trials that we did, because when you're prepping for a trial, it obviously takes away time that you could focus on other matters. One of the other issues I think has to do with some of the new people coming in at the sheriff's department, since a lot of our arrests and a lot of our charges come from the patrol units, and especially when you get to the night shift. And in 2024, there was a little bit of a changing of the guard. We had a couple of deputies that were more proactive in some of the arrests that they made. They transferred to other counties. We had one that was on leave for a good portion of 2024. And we have another that transitioned, I think, more from patrol to being a sergeant. So I think that does explain it a little bit. There's obviously some new people at the sheriff's department that are working those shifts. And I think once they start getting more and more experience, I think they'll know what to look for in terms of, because a lot of law enforcement is proactive policing and knowing what to look for. And I think once that happens, I think that number is going to go up. As you can see, this was as of yesterday, we filed 350 cases. And I think based on the way that we're going, we're going to be greater than what we were at in 2024. So the total felony case files, they've actually stayed fairly consistent. And actually, I think the drop off mainly came from other types of cases. In 2024, our actually number of criminal traffic cases dropped, I think, by almost a quarter. And that's not going to be based on, do we think there's enough to prove? Do we not? Because criminal traffics are pretty straightforward. If they refer them to us generally, there is enough to charge it. So basically what our numbers have been is from the 214 to 260 in 2021. So a very, very similar number, fairly consistent. We've already filed 153 to date. And one of the things I always note is, just to show how things have changed in the last 25 years, is that in the year 2000, we only filed, or the DA's office, I was not here obviously, only filed 97 felony cases. So shows how different things are from back then. I would note, I think right now I probably have more pending felony cases that I myself am handling than that 97 number. So I always like to talk about our drug cases. Obviously, our office is involved in the treatment court program. I am heavily involved in that. So methamphetamine and marijuana are still kind of the main drugs. There's been a little bit of a drop off from last year to this year. I would note that even though the number for, especially for marijuana, is only 32, that doesn't mean necessarily that there's a drop off in marijuana uses. I know that a lot of departments, they're trying not to send up marijuana cases unless it's a larger amount of it. If it's tiny little trace amounts of it, quite often they'll deal with it by issuing a citation. And I think part of that is kind of an efficiency sake, but also that does provide revenue for the municipalities as well. There is a handful of other drugs. We have some cocaine, we have some fentanyl. There are some other types that we charge. There are certain narcotics that if you don't have a prescription, that we charge that. One of the things I've noticed, and this has basically been consistent since I've been here, is that we have little to no heroin cases anymore. Heroin's really been supplanted by both methamphetamine and fentanyl. Methamphetamine is cheaper. That's a big part of why it's become a bigger issue. It's simply cheaper to get your hands on than heroin. It presents other dangers though, because obviously if you're making methamphetamine, that presents a very big risk factor because you have a lot of wannabe chemists who are trying to produce methamphetamine and you're endangering not only yourself, but others. We haven't had any type of situations in Washera County, but in my experience, since I've been a prosecutor, I have seen instances of individuals, for lack of a better term, almost blowing themselves up by producing methamphetamine. I've seen law enforcement officers that go in hazmat suits to try and remove that from premises. Fentanyl is very similar to heroin. In fact, it's so similar that quite a bit people mistake it for the other. So we have 2 pending drug overdose homicides that are charged right now. One of them resolved this year, a different case that was actually pending last year when I made this presentation, and that resulted in a prison sentence. Both of them involve fentanyl. That was the drug that led to the individual's deaths. I just will note this is, I'm required to do this because of ethical rules. They are presumed innocent until proven guilty. I had meant to take this one out just to talk a little bit about OWI cases, and this is left over from last year. It's about the same. I've noticed a couple of trends though. There's been an uptick in the higher level of priors for OWIs, like OWI 7th, 8th, 9th offenses. I've seen an uptick in them just from some of the ones that we've had to file. It's still less than it probably was about 10 or 15 years ago because they have basically the sentences have gotten harsher for them. So if you get a person that gets their 7th offense, they're getting a prison sentence now. So it makes it less likely. It makes it less likely they'll get an 8th, but we are still seeing people that are getting those in the 7th and 8th category. We had, and I'll talk about this for trials, we had one case this year that went to a trial. I think it was a 7th offense OWI. The other uptick is always going to be, and more people are driving under the influence of restricted controlled substances. Usually it's THC, but we see a lot of people driving with methamphetamine in their system. There has been some recent developments in case law at the Supreme Court about basically how we are able to prove what's in their blood in terms of who we call to testify. Basically, to give you a short version of it, typically when the crime lab tests a person's blood for drugs, they have multiple different people that do the testing. And then they previously would appoint a kind of a point person to say, you're the guy that's going to testify on all of these different tests. And what the Supreme Court law was discussing is how much of what the point person reviews of other people's work. Is it hearsay? Is it testimonial? Is it something that they can get into? We confronted that issue a little bit in the trial that we did for the OWI 7th earlier this year. Based on the way that we presented our case, we were able to get in the testimony. But I think different courts are going to come to different conclusions on it. And it's gonna be something that we need to explore in the future. And I will probably get some rulings from our state courts. So jury trials, we did 14 in 2022. That would have been my second year. The year before that, believe we did 10. So we had a slight uptick in 2022. We had a drop in 2023. And then we had another uptick in 2024. We had 13 trials. We had 7 felonies, 3 misdemeanors, and 3 first offense OWIs. So I refer to them as 3 traffics. And what I'll tell you is that even though these traffic offenses, even though they're not a crime, they still involve a significant amount of work when you're prosecuting OWI first offenses, because you're going through the exact same stuff that you would if you were prepping for a misdemeanor or a felony OWI trial. So we have had 5 so far this year. We've got several set for later this year, so we may even hit double digits this year. But that included that 7th offense OWI. It also included a felony theft that we prosecuted in March. And then we have a few that are on the calendar for next year, but I don't think we've gotten past January in scheduling for that. So some of the things planning ahead, obviously filling our position. We do have a training for law enforcement that is planned for October. Basically, what that all entails is kind of a legal update for law enforcement, also some training related to things like report writing, things like applying for warrants, basically how their work in that area, how it can be more efficient to benefit the DA's office, improving their cases. Also training as it relates to trial testimony. We have a lot of officers, all sorts of people that get nervous about testifying. So giving them an idea of what to expect and kind of tips for how to answer certain questions and how to behave when they're in court is something that we do on a regular basis. In terms of a couple budgetary things, we are raising our fees for our post-plea diversion program. What our post-plea diversion program is, it was started actually, I think, by DA Blair, but it's basically a situation if you have individuals that are borderline, do you want them convicted of a crime or not, or convicted of a felony versus a misdemeanor? It's a chance where they enter a plea to the charge, but they're not found guilty. They go on a post-plea diversion agreement, and then they have to fulfill certain conditions over a time period that's monitored by our office. For a long time, our fees to participate in that had been $75. In listening to some of the DAs around the state, that's actually on the low side as to what counties are actually charging for it. So we're raising it slightly to $100. And then also some of the things I think that might lead to us helping us with our budget will be that we are now allowed to, when we give out discovery, there's a lot of electronic discovery, especially now that the sheriff's department has switched to body cam. So previously we had been sending them on flash drives, but flash drives are expensive, but we're now allowed to send the link in the online database that we use to get the discovery. So I think that's probably going to trim down our expenses quite a bit. And also it's going to make us more efficient in getting out discovery at a faster time. Putting that all on a flash drive is actually a very tedious process. Usually we can only get about 2 done per day. So this will be very helpful as well. So that is my presentation. If any of you have any questions.
Any questions for Matt? Nope. Very good report, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move into section B, discussion of possible motion action items. First one is the county clerk fees schedule. And that's a request for the new clerk fees schedule. Is there a motion for this?
Make a motion to approve.
By Peterson, second by Kirschner. Any discussion on this? Have it in your packet. Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Vote, Mark. There it is. Okay, so the fee schedule passes. Second is discussion possible action on WPPA contract, Sheriff's Union contract for January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. Is there a motion for this? Motion by Piaski, is there a second? Second by Johnson. Is there any discussion?
It's already,
It is best for payroll if we can have this agreed to before the end of the year, because it includes changing the pay structure starting in January as part of the thing. Right now, they have a different the steps are different, and we're looking at consolidating some of that and changing that. And so there would be that. Also, if anything approved after the first of the year, if it includes any type of pay increase, would include having to do back pay, which is extremely tedious for payroll. So it would be beneficial. It could be approved before the end of the year.
so we technically could wait a couple months. If possible. I'm just,
It's up to you. The union has,
Speak in the microphone, please.
the union has had a meeting and they have approved it a couple of weeks ago. But yes, the county board is the final step in approving that. I recommend that it be approved prior to the end of the year. If there are certain things that you are not in agreement with, that we need to go back to negotiations, that also would be helpful, because I need to know that so that I can meet with the union again and try to renegotiate it. So if you're not in a position to approve it, I guess it would be helpful for me to know whether or not it's just you need additional time to digest the information, or if you are opposed to the proposal so that I can reopen negotiations.
No, to Ruth, that is between you and Megan, and they have people as representative from the sheriff's department. It's not necessarily the sheriff, it's
The sheriff is not involved in it. The
they
contract
have a
is,
union person.
the contract is between the county and the union. So the sheriff's department had 4 employees and their WPPA rep on the negotiating team. It was Megan, Deb Danker from Human Resources, Michelle Olson from Administration, and I that sat in on the county side. Once we were able to come to terms on language changes and wages, that was presented to the union membership, who had to vote on it and approve it. Once they approved it, we presented it to the executive committee for permission to bring it here.
Is there something in there you don't like, or do you just want more time? What is?
I guess in light of some things that I've heard today, I was just wondering if we could delay it. Need to go further than that or not?
Well, if you make a motion to.
Well, I just asking. It's already, there's already motion on the floor to,
There's a motion, yes.
so I'm just in discussion. That's what I'm asking, is maybe we could delay it a month.
It could be delayed a month, I guess, that if it is, I just need to know if I need to reopen negotiations.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels about the negotiation. You'd have to ask them, I guess, but I guess I don't really have an issue with I think it's 4% basically each year for 3 years.
Right, so it would average out, it's a 2-2 split for years 2 and 3. That then would be basically a 3.5% over the year. The first year of the contract is slightly different. So again, we had talked to them about changing their wage scale. A lot of counties around us max out at an earlier year, at the 10-year. We had a 15-year on our original one. And so they asked to like lower that down, that they would reach their max earlier. It also, originally, we had a start, a 6-month, a year, an 18-month. That was a lot of work for payroll. So we talked to them about if we could change that to some annual increases instead of having those half-month increases. And so the scale that we're proposing to start in January of 2026 takes into account those things. Those original numbers in this scale came up by Megan the union had done some research and given us some comparables of our surrounding counties, what they are currently making in 2025 and what is proposed to be made in 2026 with contracts that are already existing. There are some counties who are still in negotiations. Megan then did go out and gather her own information to look at what those counties are. We have prior arbitration decisions that indicate for comparable purposes, Waushara County's comparables as set by the arbitration is all of our contiguous counties. So that's every county that touches us. So those are the counties that we looked at. And what this proposed scale does at the January of 2026 brings our employees to the average wage for employees in the same positions for 2025. So it is bringing us up to the middle of our contiguous counties for 2025. We're not at the low end, we're not at the high end, but it's 2025's numbers. Then in July of 2026, we would give them a 2% increase. So they would get some increase in 2026 so that we don't continue to fall behind. And then, yes, we're recommending a 2%, a 2-2 split in 27 and 28.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, if you would want to postpone, that would be a precedence, wouldn't it? I mean, that would take.
That is the precedent motion. Yes.
Yeah, so it's up to you if you want to motion to postpone it a month, you can do that. Or I don't know if anybody else would like to speak on the subject.
Would if I made the motion, you can make it with this on the floor.
Yes.
Yes, that would take precedence. You'd need a second, but that would take precedence.
Now, I'll make a motion that we delay it a month, but obviously I need a second, so.
Okay, there's been a motion to postpone the vote on the WPPA contract for a month. Is there a second? Okay, I'm not seeing any seconds, so that motion then would die. Then we'll proceed to our original motion, and that's to accept the PPA contract. Is there any discussion on that contract or on that vote? Okay, hearing none, go ahead and vote on that. Okay, and that contract is accepted with one abstaining. All right, consideration possible action on the following resolutions and ordinance. Resolution number 21-09-25. Resolution urging Wisconsin to fund and support counties facing higher cost and workloads due to SNAP changes. Is there a motion for this? Motion by Urban, second by King. Is there any discussion? Do you understand? I think this was probably set up by the WCA. Is that correct? You guys are on the Human Services Board. Is that where it came from?
I think so.
Yep. Okay. And you've all seen it. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, you received a vote. Okay, and that resolution passes. Resolution number 22-09-25. Resolution ordering the issuance of tax deeds and certain tax foreclosed property. Is there a motion? Motion by Peterson. Is there a second? Second by Waddle. Any discussion on these? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Okay, and that resolution passes as well. Ordinance number 700, ordinance amending Washara County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in chapter 58 Washara County Code Zone Change, Andrew Miller Ventures LLC, the town of Coloma. Is there a motion for this? Motion by Whale. Is there a second? Second by Peterson. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and vote.
Because we.
We're out of order.
Yeah.
Look at this. Skipped that one. Yep, you're on it now, so you just have to pull it and then. Thank you. Okay, and then I have to do. Okay, it's ready.
Okay, go ahead and vote then. Okay, ordinance number 700 passes. Ordinance number 701, ordinance amending chapter 6, article 3, dogs, Washara County Code. Is there a motion? Motion by Kirschner, second by King. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Okay, and ordinance 701 passes. Proclamations. Proclaiming September of 2025 as Juror Appreciation Month. Is there a motion for this? Motion by Johnson, second by Whistling. Any discussion? Okay, go ahead and vote on that. Okay, that proclamation passes. With that, we have a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to subsection 19.85, subsection I, subsection F, Wisconsin stats, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or investigation of charges against specific persons, except where paragraph B applies, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations. Discussion with sheriff regarding K-9 payments. Is there a motion? Motion by King to go into closed session. Is there a second? Second by Mosling. All right, we can go ahead and vote on that then.
You have to have a roll call vote or no?
It is a roll call on your tablet.
Yeah, the tablet will be. Okay, and that passes, so we will be going into closed session.
Since we get our.
Your live stream is still on.
It should have been. I didn't change that.
Here, you can have my copy, Mary. You just have to disregard my scribbles about the bead money, but that's all what he's talking about too, that this is how much Tussel was awarded. So that it'd be an additional 4 million in 2026.
Okay. All right, honey. Thank you. Yeah, that I think I did write down.
I said, no, we're here and I'm gonna walk. She's really scared. She's really been scared.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, all right.
Friday.
I will-
That's
If he
the
doesn't
word
get
I
a hold of
call.
you,
It's not mine. Yeah, I know.
let me know on Monday and I'll try to.
Well, that's good. No, I just saw this now.
Do we ever have?
What?
Jake.
Yes, you can.
Okay, but based on what I think I'm hearing, I would ask for a motion to direct our court counsel and our administrator to initiate independent third party to investigate the action of the sheriff related to the canine payments. Initially, I guess I would like to see that they would contact DCI and secondarily contact an independent investigator. Also, I would like to see that the county board would get updated on this at future county board meetings. I guess if someone would be willing to make that motion, that's it. Okay, motion by King, second by Bosser. All right, discussion. I guess that's what I'm hearing, but I want you guys to.
One of the things that I think needs to be looked at is especially some of the language in that resolution number 53-12-18. I would like that looked at. Also the issue with our current policy.
52-12-18.
Oh, yeah, 52. Yes, thank you. 52-12-18. I would like that looked at.
Okay.
Yeah, in addition to within the resolution 52-12-18, as we reviewed it, there's no reference to stipend pay. There is reference to the fact that the sheriff was a canine officer and the intention that he would remain a canine officer, and that as we intent within that resolution is pretty fuzzy as far as when the sheriff's canine would be retired, if you'd be retired, the discretion was up to. So basically, what we have to go off of as a board is this memorandum that was drafted up by Robert J. Civic, March 25th, 2019. And throughout that, towards the end of it, a stipulation of the pay for the stipend for the canine deputy was that trainings would be kept up on. And so this memorandum isn't something that was signed. Their recollections around the memorandum are fuzzy. So we felt it would be best to have a third-party investigation held with these documents.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
So there's a policy.
Just speak more in here.
Also, there's a policy on K9s that we looked at in regards to this matter also.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other discussion before we proceed to vote? All right, go ahead and vote then.
Supervisor King,
Yes.
it's not accepting your vote.
No, it's not. Machine
Enter
died,
it
so
for him.
you gotta manually enter.
What is your vote?
Yes. Aye.
Okay, so the motion or the directive passes. All right, thank you. With that then, we'll move into 9 board suggestions for future agenda items.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to refer the other public comments made about in regards to the Sheriff's Department to Public Safety Committee so that they could review any possible other anything else that they might come forward.
Okay.
Is that?
All right, is there anything else? Any other future agenda items?
Yes, could we have that, the results from the Public Safety Committee on our agenda as well for an update on that? And then I would also ask that we would get at least information on the Veteran Service Office on our agenda to explore options for what's going on in the VSO.
Okay, all right. Any other future agenda items? Okay, not hearing any, I would look for a motion to
adjourn.
All right, Commissioner Waddle, second by Peterson, we're adjourned. Thank you.